My name is Hannah Wilson Black. I'm a first year in the college, and I'm going to be reading a short story of mine called The Cut, which is basically my attempt to capture the awful, beautiful, terrible, horrible, and wonderful nature of being 16 years old. So here we go. The Cut. Oh no, oh no. How did you forget about this? Yes, yes, the Cape Cod Ryerson family reunion weekend always sneaks up on you like a cardigan wearing endangered clouded leopard. But this time, when it's really important, she forgets? Let's back up. The third oldest Ryerson cousin, Haley, has made the fatal mistake of getting a haircut the Wednesday before the annual Cape Cod Ryerson family reunion weekend. Not just any haircut, the chop, the slice. She has gotten a close cropped pixie cut as a step towards asserting her lesbian identity in public. Sort of. She doesn't want everyone to know, but she wants girls to know, or she wants certain girls to know. Sweet Mother of God, please. She would like to be given a knowing look by a painfully beautiful woman who would, with the universe's permission, proceed to sweep Haley off her feet, literally, if possible. And the haircut looks really good, and even her mom said so, which is a really big deal because it's not like Mom hadn't been accepting, but she'd been awkward about the whole liking girls thing after Haley told her parents and brother. Mom might just be awkward about anything related to sexuality, but it would be nice if she could be a little more chill, which is she was being more and more now, and she totally took the hair in stride without saying anything embarrassing. But, oh no, the cousins, what are the cousins going to say? Haley's two 20-year-old twin boy cousins, aka the Scourge of the Earth, will give her no end of hell for this haircut. Once they called the second youngest Ryerson cousin, 3-year-old cousin Matthew, a wuss for crying, made fun of a 3-year-old for crying. They are the worst. But now it is too late, and they've loaded up the car, and the key has been turned in the ignition, and the 4-hour drive to Cape Cod has begun. Time waits for no man, and also for no nervous 16-year-old disaster. The finality of it all sets in when Haley's brother Michael puts his feet up behind the headrest of the minivan seat and summons his 3DS to his hands. This is going to, in technical terms, suck. Twice they have passed the Party City, and twice Haley has considered asking for a pit stop so she can go buy a wig. Just yesterday, she was so excited about the new hair, she took 17 selfies in 5 different filters. She never takes selfies because vanity is a slippery slope. But she can already hear Aunt Louise talking to her mother after 3 glasses of rosé. Jesus, Joyce, why must you let the girl walk around looking like the lead singer of a boy band? The pearls Aunt Louise gave her for her 16th birthday are still in a wooden display box in her room collecting dust. Every real woman must own 3 things. This sentiment usually expressed itself after 3.5 glasses. A real pearl necklace, a cocktail dress, and genuine satin lingerie. This and many other pieces of advice Aunt Louise offered at dinner earlier this year, the year before, was directed at Haley, since she has no daughters, having given birth only to the Scourge of the Earth. There's a remarkably hot girl with a teal buzz cut working the cash register at an Arby's off of I-95 North, and Haley publicly mortifies herself by asking for chicken chuggets in her flustered state. Her brother will not stop yelling, "Chicken chuggets! You said chicken chuggets!" at her as she walks back out to the car with her paper to-go bag in hand. Haley stops walking for a second to look at the stain of the sunset light on the gray parking lot pavement in an attempt to distract herself, unsuccessfully, from her recent out-of-body experience in the Arby's. Not her best work, to be sure, if she ever had any best work to begin with. The cashier definitely winked at her, though. Or maybe she was blinking. Whatever. Please, please, Mom, can Aunt Louise sit next to someone else at dinner? You know I try, honey, but she always finds her way back to you. She really grilled you about all your boyfriends last time, Dad chuckles from behind the wheel. I was really impressed when you just started making them up. Please at least let Michael talk to her. No, says Michael. She'll try to talk to me about girls. What's wrong with girls? Asks Mom. They're scary, says Michael. Haley snorts. Chicken chuggets, whispers Michael. The crunching sound of the car wheels on the gravel road leading up to the inn startles Haley awake. The golden light of the upper floor windows, coming ever closer through the pines on either side of the road, and no doubt filled with cousins already, is comforting. For a long weekend every spring they descend like true New Englanders upon this inn, Haley's family along with her mom's sister Louise, her husband Ron, and the twins from hell, plus Mom's parents and her brother Steve and his family. Haley is perpetually confused by her simultaneous love of this family tradition and her annoyance at many of her actual family members. Uncle Steve and Aunt Rebecca are all right, but they're always busy with the little cousins. Aunt Louise, Uncle Ron, and Grandma Maureen and Grandpa Joe are the crunchy part of the situation. They aren't loud, confrontational, or wildly conservative. It's something subtler that irks Haley. She isn't out, to any of them, but they've probably guessed by now, and they make it clear in little ways that They'd rather she were normal. It's an odd brand of white New England intolerance, full of lots of prickly little spots of hostility that emerge when you least expect them to, like birds stuck to your pants that surprise you the next time you get dressed. In the morning, Haley walks down the inn's creaky wooden grand staircase to the lobby area off of the dining room, still in her pajamas, too enticed by the smell of the Sandy Shore Inn's buttery biscuits to care how she looks. In fact, she hasn't even looked in the mirror this morning, which is why she is caught terribly off guard by her grandmother's small gasp when they run into each other while both walking into the dining room. "Your hair!" Grandma Maureen says to explain the gasp. "Oh," Haley says. "Yeah, I got it cut." If there is a God, Haley decides, they are truly testing her patience by allowing Grandma Maureen to accost her on the way to the breakfast biscuits. It is way too early for this. "Well, clearly," Grandma Maureen says with a chuckle that somehow manages to feel cold. "It looks fine," she continues. Oh, your beautiful long hair." Grandma Maureen had always voiced loud approval for Haley's recently deceased, long, golden, appropriately feminine hair. "I just decided it was time for a change," Haley says as casually as possible, hoping Grandma Maureen will see that the haircut is not such a big deal. "Of course, dear, I'm sure you had your reasons. I think it's such a shame that long hair isn't in style these days. When I was a girl, a woman's hair was really her prized possession." "Ah," is Haley's reply. "Excuse me, Grandma, but if you don't mind, I think I'll have a seat now. The biscuits are getting cold." Haley has been the subject of friendly ribbing in the past over her habit of being chronically late to Ryerson family breakfast at Sandy Shore. But the long table which runs down the middle of the inn's quaint, wooden-paneled dining room, which the Ryerson family always reserves, is only half full. Her parents, Grandpa Joe, Uncle Steve, Aunt Rebecca, and the youngest cousins, little Matthew and Lizzie, are already seated at the closer end of the table, with one open seat between Haley's dad and Aunt Rebecca. Grandma Maureen is still out in the lobby area. Michael is likely still asleep in her family's room, and Aunt Louise and Uncle Ron, as well as the Hell twins, have yet to make an appearance. This is decidedly good news, since Haley is not ready to be bombarded with even the most well-intentioned family teasing, especially after that surprise attack from Grandma Maureen. It was a surprise because Grandma Maureen had managed to bring out her expertly crafted judgment voice at this early hour. Plus, Haley was still in her flannel Costco pajamas, making her emotionally and physically defenseless. However, the content of her hair-based criticism itself was to be expected. Haley knows how much her grandmother loved her long hair. When Haley was younger, Grandma Maureen would sit her on her lap during the family Cape Cod weekend trips and run her fingers through Haley's long blonde hair while she rocked back and forth and recounted some story that Haley was only half listening to, as she was more absorbed in the calming feeling of Grandma Maureen's delicate fingers on her scalp. In those moments, she felt close, not only to her grandmother, but to the other women sitting around her, her mom and aunts trading gossip with Grandma Maureen and occasionally directing a tidbit of advice at Haley. The Ryerson women are very wise, and they are funny and self-sufficient. Haley felt special to be included in their circle, and they included Haley in all their chats, as she was the only girl in the family until her mom's brother Steve and his wife Rebecca had Lizzie 4 years ago. But as much as Haley wanted, and still wants, to see herself in the older Ryerson women, there was something that stood between them, even in those intimate moments. It probably had always stood between them, even when Haley was too young to realize it. "Boys!" Aunt Louise is walking into the dining area and calling over her shoulders at the twins. Jonathan and Andrew follow behind her, engaged in what appears to be a prolonged game of punch-buggy. They both recently emerged from the worst of their acne and awkward adolescent body proportions with substantial heads of gelled brunette hair and a renewed sense of confidence, perhaps more confidence than is called for, given what Haley has previously observed to be their personalities. As of last year, at least, they still refused to say sentences containing more than 5 words at the dinner table, and enjoyed coming up behind Haley and flicking the back of her neck with their fingers. Haley has paused in thought with her hand on the back of the chair between Dad and Aunt Rebecca, and has yet to sit down. As soon as Aunt Louise walks in, Haley instinctively plops down in her seat so she won't immediately be confronted by Aunt Louise's frightening combination of intense social energy and phone camera roll full of screenshots of shirts for sale on Amazon with haunting slogans like, "Mama needs wine." "Oh, Haley, is Michael up yet?" Haley's mom asked from her seat to the left of Uncle Steve, with his small circular glasses and famous mustache, whom Haley is facing. He's wearing a faded blue t-shirt that says, "Springfield Plant Nursery. It's party time." "When I left the room, he was still snoring," Haley shrugs. Mom waves a hand dismissively. "Whatever. If he were younger, I'd go up and get him. But he's 13, and if he misses breakfast, he misses breakfast," she says. "Ooh, cold, Joyce," Uncle Steve says from across the table while getting Matthew settled into his high chair. "Oh, and nice haircut, Haley. Is that what the teens are doing nowadays? I can't keep up with what's cool anymore in terms of haircuts. And I don't really need to, because this guy," he points to himself, "is definitely going bald." "Thanks, Dad," he says to Grandpa Joe. "What?" says Grandpa Joe. "I said thanks for making me bald." "Ha! God made you bald, Stephen. I didn't have anything to do with it. Haley cracks a smile. Thanks, Uncle Steve, she says. No problem. How's school, kiddo? Pretty good. What's your favorite class? Advanced drawing. Least favorite? Maybe history and bio, but just for this unit. We're learning about nitrate fixation. I just can't get into it. Oh, understanding the nitrate cycle is very important if you ever want to break into the landscaping business. Uncle Steve owns his own landscaping company. You have to respect the natural nitrogen cycle and be aware that adding your own nitrogen to the soil is only helpful in small quantities. Otherwise, it runs off and results in a little something called eutrophication, which is bad news for everybody. Bad news for fishermen, bad news for fish, bad news for swimmers, bad news for casual fans of small creeks. Haley, how's my favorite niece? Aunt Louise has come up behind Haley and put two freshly manicured hands on her shoulders, taking her by surprise. Oh, sorry, Steve, were you saying something? Just telling Haley about the importance of the nitrogen cycle. Oh, please, I'm sure Haley has other things on the brain, like prom. Honey, do you have a dress? Do you have a date? What's the latest? This haircut is very bold, by the way, very Kristen Stewart. I always thought she was so pretty in those movies. What are they? The ones about the vampires, you know. Oh, I'm just going with my friends. And I was actually thinking I might maybe wear like a formal jumpsuit, maybe, or something. Aunt Louise taps her fingers on Haley's shoulder, contemplative. I can see it. I just think this is such an opportunity to really go all out, you know. Get a big princess dress or something, backless, or with a slit for the leg. Louise, Haley's mom butts in. She's 16. I don't think she wants something with a giant slit up the side. Aunt Louise slowly puts her hands up and shrugs like she's just been told to back away from the scene of a smooth, jazzy crime. I'm just saying, you know, with the right look, you could really totally devastate one of those cute boys you always post pictures with on your Instagram. Why did she give Aunt Louise her Instagram handle again? Probably get out of a conversation like this. Those guys are just my friends. And two of them are gay, and one of them is taken by Haley's friend Magdalena, whom, given all the evidence, it is likely Haley is in love with. Definitely, actually, beyond reasonable doubt. This became very clear 2 weeks ago when Haley saw Magdalena kissing her boyfriend on a couch at another friend's birthday party, and then proceeded to become violently ill over the side of the back deck. Not one of her finest moments, but it definitely left no room for denial, which is why Haley is now desperately hoping for literally any woman to parade into her life and distract her from Magdalena's beautiful, soft curls. She could just bury her face in those curls. Aunt Louise bends over Haley's shoulder, phone in hand, and pulls up Haley's Instagram page. Well, they shouldn't be just your friends, Aunt Louise says with a wink. Who's this hunk? She points at a photo with Magdalena's boyfriend, Evan, and a photo with Haley and Magdalena from the spring formal back in March. Magdalena wore a low-cut powder blue dress, and she and Haley stayed up all night at Haley's house after the dance, baking late-night brownies, listening to Elvis, and laughing until they were dizzy. It was indisputably the best/worst night of Haley's life so far. Just looking at this photo, she can smell how Magdalena smelled that night. She feels nauseous. You're blushing, Aunt Louise says, loud enough for at least half of the table to hear. You like him. I know that look. You look you're going to throw up. That's love, honey. You have to ask him out. What did you say his name was? Evan? He's dating my friend, Haley says. Something is tickling her throat. Ugh, that's the worst. What does she have that you don't? At this point, much of the other conversation has stopped, and Haley's family members seem to all be staring at her. Excuse me, Haley says, getting up and brushing past Aunt Louise. Her mouth has started to fill with saliva. She starts jogging for the bathroom. How is she going to explain this? Sorry about that, everyone. Looking at beautiful, perfect, unattainable women makes me sick. Why does this keep happening? And why the fuck does Aunt Louise feel the need to do this to her? What is her problem? She pushes open the bathroom door, bursts into a stall, and kneels at the toilet bowl like it's her first communion. Something is pulsing in her throat. All right, what are we doing this afternoon? Haley's dad asks as everyone is finishing the last of their bacon, breakfast, potatoes, and biscuits. After returning from the bathroom, Haley came up with some bullshit story about how she had not been feeling well last night, and it must have been the chicken nuggets from Arby's. Steve, Haley's dad says, I know you wanted to take a lighthouse tour. Maybe some others are interested in that too. Fishing, hollers Andrew from the other end of the table. What's that, says Haley's dad. Me and Jonathan brought our tackle box and gear, and we want to hit up this dope spot down at the dock. Oh, me too, calls Michael, who arrived a few minutes earlier, just in time to order before the kitchen closed. Okay, so that's Jonathan, Andrew, and Michael going fishing. Haley, why don't you go with them? Haley's mom says, making insistent eye contact with her daughter. Great idea, says Haley's dad. So that's all the older cousins for fishing. And I was thinking of going to some art galleries in Chatham myself. Why me? Haley mouths to her mom. Her cell phone pings. You are the only thing standing between your brother and a quick indoctrination to vaping, the text from her mom reads. And then another. Not that I don't trust Jonathan and Andrew, but I don't trust them. Haley puts on an exaggeratedly pained face, but she's aware that the fight has already been lost. She doesn't want to keep Michael from his fishing dreams, and she certainly does not want to call even more attention to herself. She apparently forgot how completely infuriating and unhinged Aunt Louise is. Or things have gotten worse, or it's the haircut that's making Aunt Louise more inexplicably desperate to see Haley settled into a socially acceptable niche of femininity by way of being boy crazy. Aunt Louise's fight has also already been lost, but she has no way of seeing that. What the fight even is and why it's being fought, Haley cannot fathom. First, she threw up at breakfast, and now she has to spend the afternoon with the Hell Twins, learning how to catch a slippery animal on a string and throw it back in the water. This is the worst series of events that has befallen her since the party 2 weeks ago, where Haley puked her heart sickness all over somebody's backyard foliage. Which, okay, maybe was worse than puking her heart sickness into a toilet in New England bed and breakfast. Maybe. Despite her misgivings, Haley musters the strength to put on some cargo pants, reserved only for occasions when she will not be seen by any of her school peers or beautiful strangers, and an old t-shirt, and meets the twins and her brother in the Sandy Shore Inn lobby to head down to the dock Andrew had mentioned, which is technically the property of the inn and requires a short walk through the woods. Ultimately, she's doing this for Michael because she does actually care about his lung health and doesn't want him to die of a mysterious vaping-related illness. And because he's her younger brother and she often feels like a guardian angel hovering over him, even if he doesn't really give her the time of day or ever ask for her advice. He doesn't really need it anyway. He seems to be having a fine time in the 7th grade and appears to actually be kind of popular. This experience of middle school runs completely contrary to Haley's. She did well academically, but spent much of the time confused in just about every other sense of the word. Andrew and Jonathan, of course, forgot to grab the bagged lunches the Bryersons requested from the kitchen to take on their various day trips, so Haley runs that errand begrudgingly, and soon the 4 of them are headed for the woods. Luckily, even in late May, it's not yet hot enough outside to attract too many bugs, so Haley, Michael, and the twins only have to swat away a few gnats as they walk along the partly overgrown path to the dock. Michael tries to hack away at the thorny plants whose thin tendrils extend over the trail with his prized Swiss Army knife, until Haley reprimands him for holding up the group and suggests he just step over them to save time. He complains that his legs are too short, but tucks away the blade and puts the Swiss Army knife back in his pocket. Upon reaching the clearing that opens onto the dock, the twins open their tackle box, bait the hooks on their 2 fishing rods, and let Haley and Michael take a shot, tossing the lines into the water first. After 10 minutes, Haley remains convinced that this is a stupid sport, but does have a newfound appreciation for the patience it requires and the opportunity it's giving her to just stare at the calm, clear surface of the inlet water and the ocean beyond without talking to anyone. After about 20 minutes and no bites, Michael excuses himself and heads for the trees because he has to piss hella bad. Michael's use of words like piss and hella have been increasing in frequency ever since they left the hearing range of all adults, not counting the twins, who are technically adults but so far have been sitting on the dock and collectively listing all the synonyms they can think of for testicles as some kind of invigorating mental exercise. Jonathan grabs Michael's pole from him and takes Michael's place next to Haley on the tip of the dock. He expertly casts the line out into the inlet again, and it briefly makes an S-shaped imprint on the surface of the water before disappearing below. "Oh, hey, by the way," Jonathan says, "I'm sorry about my mom giving you a hard time. You know she really wanted a daughter, and she got me and Andrew instead. Not that we aren't totally dope, but, she wants to, relive her youth, is what Dad said." Andrew pitches in casually. "Right. She's been having a hard time with it," Jonathan says. "The whole aging thing, I mean, she drinks a lot. More than she should. 2 glasses of sangria, like, every other night after work. We tried to bring it up, but she just makes jokes about the drinking. Feels worse than it would if she just yelled at us for asking about it. Dad got her to make an appointment with the shrink." "Mental health professional, bro. Come on," Andrew interrupts. "Sorry, yeah. The appointment's for next week, actually, but she seems so freaked out about it, she might not even go. She just needs someone to indulge her for a couple more days, and then she'll have her appointment and get on the right track, hopefully." Wow, that really sucks, you guys. I'm sorry. "I didn't even ever think about how you guys have to see her like that all the time," Haley says, her face pinching with thought. "Honestly, dude, don't worry about us," Jonathan says. "We're dealing with it okay, and we're in it together. It's Mom we're worried about. Anyway, that's why she's been like that even more than usual. She's freaking out and trying to delude herself. That's why she can't even understand that you're gay." "Then what? I'm not." "What?" "Dude, Haley, I follow your Twitter." Well, that would explain it. "Last week you tweeted at Janelle Monáe and asked her if she would go to prom with you. I can't blame you, she's pretty awesome," Jonathan says with a smile. "How do you know who Janelle Monáe is?" "I've seen her in movies, but my girlfriend Kayla introduced me to her music. Her music videos are, like, mind-blowing. Kayla is bi, actually, and really open about it, so I got her a pride flag for her dorm room, but Mom saw the package before I did and asked me about it. I tried explaining bisexuality to Mom. It did not go well. She brushed it off like it was a phase Kayla was going through, and I was stupid for getting strung along. I got really pissed at her, but at this point, it's like all I can do is be the bigger person or whatever. I didn't tell Kayla about it. Maybe I should, but she just doesn't need that in her life, you know? Ugh, Haley says. See, I wish I could be open and, like, proud about being into girls and put a flag up in my room, but I just figured all this out, like, a few months ago. I'm still so nervous, and I want to be calm and cool and swap, but instead I see a girl I really like, and I can't even talk to her. Or I throw up. Jonathan gives her a concerned look. It's too much trouble to explain. Honestly, man, Andrew says, walking up behind them and taking a seat on the dock. I've never been in your situation, but that kind of sounds just like what being in high school is like. Having all these insecurities, not knowing how to handle yourself, acting stupid, all that stuff. It genuinely gets better for everyone. And hey, Jonathan says, if you want some advice, you should talk to Kayla. I'll give you her number. She went through some of this too. Thanks, Haley says, surprised she was thinking the Hell Twins. And I'm not trying to rag on you, but both of you were literally just listing all the ways you can say balls. Did that not get left behind when you entered adulthood? Or, like... Andrew punches her lightly on the shoulder. Man, that's a timeless activity, he says. Anyone can do that. It's simple and fun. Yeah, okay. Wait, something's tugging on my line. Haley thinks for a second. She might have imagined it. But there's definitely something on the other end of the fishing line pulling against her. Dude, pull back, slow and steady. Don't fall in, Jonathan counsels. Haley snorts. I'm not gonna fall in. But the fish is definitely not giving her an easy battle. She strains and leans back, moving the rod back with her, but keeping a firm grip on it. At Jonathan's suggestion, she gives the line a single steady hard tug. Suddenly she feels the tension in the line release, and out of the water comes flying a beautiful, glittering silver blue fish. Hell yeah, Andrew yells. Women want you, fish fear you, Jonathan shrieks. Women want me, fish fear me, Haley thinks. Women want me, fish fear me. After 5 hours of fishing, mostly unsuccessfully, and surprisingly insightful life advice from the Hell Twins, the cousins reel in their lines, pack up the tackle box, and head back to change before family dinner. Michael, as it turns out, got lost on his way back from his treacherous journey into the woods to find a place to pee far enough away from all human beings that he wouldn't be self-conscious. He came back to the dock 15 minutes after he had left, wielding his Swiss Army knife and confessing that he might have a poison ivy rash on his ass without elaborating further. Over dinner, Michael, Haley, and the twins pass around phones with photo proof that they actually caught some fish. When Michael is asked why he's so vigorously scratching his pants, the story comes tumbling out and elicits uproarious laughter from everyone around the table. This prompts Uncle Steve to ask Grandma Maureen about her days as a park ranger when she was just out of college, and she tells the gnarliest poison ivy stories she has. The golden light of the room and the darkness of the windows seem to invite a sense of warmth and good humor. And as at every Ryerson family dinner, favorite stories are shared, inside jokes are made, and things seem to glue themselves back together. Of course, this comfortable feeling is challenged when Aunt Louise moves on to her third glass of rosé. Uncle Ron made it quite clear that she would be capped at 3. She reaches across the table diagonally to put her hand on top of Haley's. You know what? Aunt Louise says sleepily. You should just let that Evan guy go. Let him go. You know, girlfriend? Move on. Isn't there someone in one of your classes you have your eye on? You can tell me. I'm very good with this kind of stuff. Very, very good. Haley sits back stiffly, trying to think up something, anything to say that will satisfy Aunt Louise. Suddenly, Haley feels Michael scoot his chair closer to hers and look at Aunt Louise and then at her. He nods solemnly, like a soldier about to fall back on his own sword. Actually, he says, Aunt Louise, there's a girl in one of my classes who's really cute. Oh my god, tell me everything. Alright, and that's it. Thank you all for listening.